So I want to start this video by thanking everyone who stops by the videos and all the support on the latest uploads. You guys are the best, and you honestly make my day so much better. Now, since we have covered some important topics regarding the DLC, the recent casual mode update, and the lack of hard mode, I want to explain why I think this update further hints towards us getting a DLC, if we read between the lines and take a step back to get a better view of what's just right under our nose. Let me put it this way. What could be a reason they give us this new game mode that makes the game easier and at the same time buffs almost all the vocations, effectively making us even stronger? I'm just gonna put that out there and not give you guys any visual hints whatsoever. Let's look at the hard mode argument for a moment. The majority of players right now are begging for a hard mode, simply because we have completed the game, and on New Game Plus you're probably steamrolling everything coming your way. But I would argue hard mode on its own won't solve the scaling problem we are facing right now. And I think there are some misconceptions going around in regards to what hard mode actually was in the first game. In Dark Arisen you could change your game mode between easy, normal and hard mode. Easy mode simply reduces the amount of damage you take, but you get the same amount of XP as normal. In Dragon's Dogma 2, they have expanded upon this game mode with additional changes that mostly bring quality of life improvements. But according to the description here, casual mode does not reduce the damage you take or how much damage you deal. Maybe they are trying to slowly move away from difficulty settings like we see in Souls games and Elden Ring, where the only form of difficulty slider is adjusted by the different regions instead. Because what I see in the list of changes here wouldn't really help you out during a difficult battle. You still take and do the same damage as normal mode, and skills cost the same amount of stamina. So that begs the question, will they add even more game modes that alters damage values? Or will they only stick to these two options and instead give us harder areas and monsters? But let's talk about hard mode in the first game. You could change into this game mode at any time during your adventures and your progress would be saved. Which meant a lot of players took advantage of this to get 2 copies of certain powerful items, like the Ring of Perseverance, that would boost your discipline gain by 50%. In hard mode you would take double damage, and enemy stagger resistances tripled. Skills would also cost more stamina, but you would gain twice the amount of experience, discipline points and rift crystals. What was interesting with this game mode was the addition of randomized gold drops from enemies. This would drastically change the amount of gold you could amass in a short period of time. That's why in many cases, if you knew your ins and out of the game, you could simply start out on hard mode and gain an edge simply because of the faster stat and gold gain. Now looking back at Dragon's Dogma 2, we see that just by adding hard mode, it wouldn't really make the game harder for us, if we are already stacked up with endgame armor and weapons that would one-shot bosses either way. What we need is higher enemy defenses and HP values. And since the latest patch buffed almost all the vocations, it would make sense that we get some form of harder challenges thrown at us very soon after this update. It could be in the form of new enemy encounters in New Game Plus, or access to smaller areas that are currently locked behind these hidden rift doors. That, in turn, could give us new quests, enemy types, weapons and armor. Could this be a dwarven society or another elven settlement hidden behind these locked doors? And maybe these quests will give us answers in regards to the new pink and purple color codes introduced by the Trickster vocation. The more I look into this, I realized how much this all makes sense now. They released the game just before their fiscal year ended at the end of March. Then they kept working on the game, and what should have been part of the game in March was simply not ready due to the strict release dates Itsuno was given. The latest patch further reinforces the theory that parts of the game that was missing will be added in form of smaller DLC packages and a proper expansion like Dark Arisen. That Itsuno left Capcom is actually a good sign, since it means that he no longer needs to oversee the finishing touches for Dragon's Dogma 2. And his work with Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma 2 is now finished. So the real question now remains, how far have they come in development as of today? Capcom is usually good at keeping their cards close to their chests, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get a big announcement for Dragon's Dogma 2 in just a couple of days. Tuesday next week, we get Sony's State of Play, and on Thursday, the highly anticipated Tokyo Game Show. And just by looking at the official Dragon's Dogma 2 X page, It's clear that they are gearing up for something big with the frequency of posts that are coming out lately. At this point, it's not even copium or hopium, but straight up logic. But let me know how you feel about the latest updates and next week's showcases. And join the channel if you want to be part of the memes during the live streams next week. It's gonna be fun. But that's probably going to be the last video before we get some solid news for the upcoming DLC. So fingers crossed, and I'll see you in the next one.